verse 14 and 15. Sutta Maharishi says, with undivided mind, one ought to hear and sing the praises of, meditate upon and worship the Lord. Tasmat ekena manasa Bhagavan Satvatam Patihi Shrotavyah Kirtitavyascha Dhyayah Pujaschya Nityada. So Shrotavyah means to listen. One ought to listen with attention and sincerity. Listening is very powerful. It's called Shravanam. And Shravanam is the way in which primarily we take the wisdom in our heart. So that is why it is said that he enters through the ears into the heart. So Shravanam is the first process. Kirtitavyaha means to be glorified. And glorification can happen in many ways. We can talk about it. We can sing about the glories of the Lord. So there are many kirtans. That's why the word kirtan comes from the same root, to glorify. So kirtitavyaha, dhyeyaha. Dhyeyaha means to meditate upon. So dhyana, so to just contemplate upon the truth, to inquire and to negate the false idea of separation, and to see the one common truth, which is Bhagavan, which is the source for all our actions. Puja is to worship, to have a worshipful attitude, not just as a activity in a temple or in an altar, but all the time. So if we can see the Supreme Being as the only truth in everyone and everything at all times, then we can have an attitude of worship towards all in our heart. So he says, Shrotavyaha Kirtitavyaha Dhyeyaha Pujaschya Nityada. Nityada means always. So if we have this attitude, so that we are always connected to the source through all these various ways, then we can realize him with a single pointed mind. Ekena manasa Bhagavan Satvatam Patihi. Satvatam Patihi is the one who protects all the devotees, the one who takes care of anyone who is surrendered unto him. So then the next verse, he says, the learned who are armed with the sword of constant meditation on him cut asunder the knot of karma. Who then would not take delight in his stories? Yad anudhyasina yuktaha karma granthi nibandhanam chindanti kovidas tasya ko na kuryat katharatim. So karma granthi nibandhanam means to cut the bond of karma. And cutting the bond of karma means being free of the false idea of I am doing anything. That is where karma is born out of. Otherwise, karmas are non-ending, unending. There is so many karmas we engage in all the time. So we cannot possibly exhaust karmas of the past. We are constantly also engaging in various karmas now and into the future. So the way to be free of karma is not through desisting from karma, from action, but from recognizing that we are not the doer of the actions. The actions happen by the divine intelligence. So at any given point, there is only a collection of various wills or various drives that make actions possible. And each drive has its own energy to make things happen. So when we are hungry, there is a drive to go and cook food or eat food. When we are driving the car, we have a certain intelligence which is necessary to drive properly. So when we are working on the computer, we are writing code or whatever we are doing, we have the necessary knowledge that comes forth on work. So at each given point, all there is only the particular thread in our brain, which is a collection of memory and knowledge that comes forth and works. And each of them are distinct. So it is our false idea that there is a single ego which is doing all of these things. In reality, each activity is done out of the intelligence that is necessary for that activity. And all of this intelligence and all the power that is underlying the intelligence is coming forth from the same source. So when we look at our physical body, there are so many activities happening at the physiological level which we are not even consciously aware of, like how the food is getting digested, how the blood is circulating, and how the liver is functioning. All the rest is happening. They are also actions. And these actions are happening by the intelligence of the body. And similarly, there is the intelligence by which mental actions or conscious actions take place. And each of this also comes forth. And that is why if we really look at it, it feels like they are separate people even sometimes. So the way one interacts with a child is very different from the role of a son, from the role of a spouse, from the role of an employee, because each of these are different threads or different aspects of our being that comes forth, and all of this have only one thing in common, which is that they are all sourced in divine intelligence. Everything happens by the divine will, which is rooted in consciousness. So there is no separate egoic entity that governs all these actions. The actions happen by their own intelligence, which is coming forth from the single unitary source, which is Bhagavan. So if we recognize that, then we are free of the karma granthi, it is said here. And that is why he says, by constant meditation, yad anudhyasina yuktaha, if we are constantly meditating in this way, constantly recognizing by inquiry, thereby negating the false idea of me, the false sense of doership, and seeing only the one source, then chindanti, that is the sword by which the false idea of me, the false idea of I am the doer is cut. And therefore he says, ko na kuriyat katharatim. So who will not be interested in listening about him? So if we are not, or to put it differently, the one who is truly desirous of being free will naturally be interested in this, because then they can be, through this wisdom, freed of the false idea of me. Otherwise, we carry around this false idea of me, and it results in various ideas of guilt and pride and second guessing and so many unnecessary thought movements. I could have done this, I should have done this, and I was wrong, and what did they think of me? So many comparisons, envy, anxiety, all of this goes away when we recognize that I am not the doer. And therefore he says, who would not be interested? The one who is, everyone says they want to be free of suffering and be happy. And therefore, in reality, everyone should be interested in this. Of course, they are not. because of not being exposed correctly or because of other tendencies and so on. But in truth, it's applicable for everyone because everyone is caught in the whirlpool of suffering, and therefore, anyone who listens to this can be freed of the false idea of doership and thereby the whole suffering that comes out of it. So that's why it says that this is for everyone who is genuinely interested in actually being free. Otherwise, we go to escapism for happiness, and that's what everybody does normally. And all escapism towards happiness are temporary, whereas this is cutting the root itself. That's why he says, with the sword of meditation, one can cut the root of suffering, which is the sense of karma granthi nibandhanam, which is the cutting the root of doership itself.